Mine ascension, mine ascension. Thankful and grateful, grateful and thankful forever and always, always and forever. Forever favored, favored forever. But yes, peace to the 6 to 22 strand, 7 to 9 ether, you melanin, selenium-based black gods of this planet. Doing my night stroll. Finally got a little bit of time to myself. Honestly, been kind of busy with my current economic manifestation, which I definitely asked for, and just like many things that we ask for in life, sometimes we're not prepared or sometimes we're not fully mentally equipped to be able to maintain or sustain these things that we gravitate and we manifest. And I'm witnessing that to some extent, which is not a problem. But we live, family. I wanted to let people know when I was going live, but then I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to go live. That's why I didn't do that. Hopefully for there to be a little bit more interaction on this live. But it's all right. I'm going to start getting used to zero interaction. Besides the little bit of interaction I get from people who don't know who I am. So therefore they think I'm a regular human and give me regular human reactions and regular human banter and all of this stuff. Until eventually, the more they start talking, the more they realize, okay, let me just stop talking to this person because they're not going to react like a normal human and try to go tit for tat with me. Which once again is a battle of the egos, which is why the most freeing thing that you can do in this world as a third dimensional being within the human form is peel away that ego. Because boy, does that ego control the fuck out of everything you think, feel, and you do. But anyway, peace to the family. Let yourselves be known. Please don't hide out there, y'all. And that goes back into the ego. When you follow somebody, when you subscribe to somebody, what makes you conceal yourself? Ask yourself that. You know, I follow a lot of people, I follow random pages, and when I hear something or I see something that resonates or that might be incorrect due to my own personal studies, whatever the case may be, and I'm open to correction, as many of you already know, I let myself be known. I ask questions, I ask follow-up questions, I ask for references, and so on and so forth. Or I'll make my little idiotic comments to provoke the mind and the ego of those who will be reading the comments so I can engage in a dialogue that will eventually get them to a mental capacity to where they understand what they're saying comes from an indoctrination and conditioning of the recessive. But what makes us conceal and hide ourselves? You know what I mean? Over 1,000 subscribers, but there's always one or two of the same people who have the courage, bravery, insight, whatever you like to call it, that makes you feel better or makes you feel less, whatever, which way, that's based on your perception, to chime in on what's being spoken about, to chime in on what's being talked about. But then I can see other places with even less followers or less subscribers and dozens of comments. But anyway, yes, I missed. Peace, Dillard Morrison, if you're still there, appreciate you tuning in. I'm assuming that we are referring to the masculine energy, my brother. So peace, King. Knowledge, understanding, noble guidance. To all the feminine and masculine energy within the realm right now of this YouTube live. Peace to my queens, qualities uniting, central earth nurturing. Peace to my kings, knowledge, understanding, noble guidance. Yes, I've been grinding a lot, quote unquote, lately, as the humans like to say, or the urban humans like to say. Haven't had a lot of time to go live, to go one-on-one. Wanted to take this time and this night. I know y'all can't see me too well, but that'll change soon when I get under these lights. But I wanted to take this time and this night to basically exchange, express. I had something I was thinking about, and now when I started on my little rant in the beginning of this, kind of escaped me slightly. But please throw anything out there for the two of y'all that's tuned in now. Randomly, whatever's on the mind or subconscious, even currently going on right now, something dumb you just heard or you just saw. Anything in existence can be spoken about intelligently. Anything in existence can be broken down scientifically. It really doesn't matter what it is, socially, economically, organically, nature-wise, whatever. You know, as you know, we in New York. Summer's in New York. Loud, noisy. You know what it is. I'll tell you one thing, the more I embrace my economic manifestation and what I've been doing for the past 3-4 months, the more I know how much bullshit this so-called whatever you want to call it actually is. And that's one thing about experience and wisdom. When you really get out there and you're observing directly, you're not somebody reading an LGBT article. You're not somebody getting a second-hand, third-hand, fourth-hand information about a subject or something like that. You really get to see how strong and accurate, as far as what I've been speaking, has been. I'm talking hundreds and thousands of people crowded into small spaces, sweating, breathing, dancing, drinking, smoking, and not one of them following rules. You know why? Because they're so excited, they forgot about the rules. And it's quite interesting because this so-called extremely dangerous, airborne, whatever the hell you want to call it, seems to conveniently forget about itself when it's time to sit down and eat, when it's time to be happy and dance. All of a sudden, this highly intelligent airborne situation seems to just suspend itself, and it takes a lunch for you so you can take your lunch. But anyway, don't want to get too into that because might get thrown in YouTube jail. We know how that goes. But anyway, thankful and grateful, grateful and thankful forever and always, always and forever, forever, favored, favored forever. Yeah, I love taking my night walks, day walks, walks in the rain, jump out in a storm, scream some affirmations, utilizing nature to the highest capability, basically. But yes, family, if you're out there, if you got something on your mind, if you're not afraid to express it, please let it go. Please save this live. I will do my best to do so. Anytime I go live, I definitely make a point to save it. I'm attempting to think about something I was thinking earlier that I wanted to bring up as a subject. That's why I need interaction, y'all, because my brain is always going, and then nobody wants to interact with me. No, they just want to sit there and listen. And I get that, there's nothing wrong with that, but once I'm thinking about something, then I'm thinking about something else, then I'm on to something else, then I'm on to something else. So I can't stay where I want to stay without somebody provoking that stance in order to create a back and forth, in order to create an exchange. Caught you. Peace, JX. My mind goes everywhere. That's why it's such a challenge for me to be one of them people who could just sit down and make videos with no exchange with somebody. Like one place my mind was just at, which I just expressed, the current nonsense. We will not speak the word. We will not say the C word. We will not say all the nonsense that they've given us into our subconscious, because that's what makes us stronger. You know what? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about conditioning, indoctrination, and the subconscious. Every time I give you a specific word that I have created or I have invented, and I repeat it over a duration of time, as you sit there, absorb it, hear it, and listen to it, you become indoctrinated by it. I was just reading certain comments, and we use these terms, homophobic, and so on and so forth. And when you ask these humans who are using these words, one thing about the human is they'll believe and go off anything with no foundation of reasoning, logic, comprehension, and origin. So there's one person going, homophobia is universal. What? Universal? The hell are you talking about? The universe is not only polygamous, but it's heterosexual. The cells in your body is heterosexual. The molecules in the air is heterosexual. The hell are y'all talking about? If every molecule in every cell became homosexual, there would be no design that shaped and grafted every animal, every creature, and every human being on earth. Think about that. Now that's source knowledge. That's original thought. If every cell, every organic structure, every molecule, every ion became homosexual, by definition, only link it with itself, only linking with its likeness, where would existence be? If the negative ion wasn't attracted to the positive ion and only the negative was attracted to the negative, what would be produced? What spark would be created within our atmosphere that makes it breathable and inhabitable? If the cells in your body, which practice respiratory regeneration, meaning that the air that you breathe activates and invigorates the cell. Then the cell meets another cell and they flow together, but in an opposite direction. One turns left, one turns right. That turning together creates a friction. That friction creates a spark of energy within the body. Not the food you eat, but the activation of the breath. But if two cells are spinning the same way, it can't create friction. Therefore, energy is not generated. So if I make your cells homosexual in behavior, if I make molecules homosexual in behavior, if I make the ions in the atmosphere homosexual in behavior, what existence do we have? Forget the human shit. Forget having babies. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about before that. I'm talking about before human existence. And you want to call something natural? Beginning of time? The behavior, the dynamic. We ain't talking about penises and vaginas right now. The behavior and the dynamic of heterosexual union and friction produces and sparks energy that gives the foundation of your entire existence. From the plants that grow, from the animals, from the molecules, from the minerals, from the elements. As we already know, the elements are complementary of each other. They are opposites of each other. They are complements of each other. They coincide with each other. They're not all trying to be one same thing with each other. But whatever. You know, humans will conveniently ignore all of this, which is fine. Because as we know, especially dealing with mind ascension, it's about the tiny ass handful. And I always appreciate the small handful of y'all. No matter how big my numbers get, seems to be the same small handful, but that's cool. That's cool. That just lets me know the difference between divinity existing in one and ego dominating the other. Because it's your ego that stops you from questioning. It's your ego that stops you from thinking beyond what you've been conditioned to believe and feel. That's another thing. Let's go into feeling. I had somebody saying, oh, abuse and homophobic abuse and this and that is a feeling. Where do your feelings come from? Where do your judgments, where do your, not perceptions, where do your judgments and where do your preferences come from that set the foundation of the chemical reaction in your body that you call an emotion and that socially you call how you feel? Let's be honest. Women today have ridiculous feelings about shit their grandmothers never did. If I tell a woman to be a housewife today, she'll feel disrespected. Am I lying? So is that feeling a natural feeling, or is that feeling a condition through your environment that you're in 2021? In y'all grandmother's times, it was a dream to be a housewife. That was an achievement. Now your achievement is based on your imitation of the male specimen, which now makes you worthy. How hard can you work? What is your status in the corporate world? How many pieces of paper given to you by white people who learn from moral science, called degrees, has now made you valid in this social experiment as being someone who is educated? Your feelings are dictated by your environment and your conditioning. God damn it. Unless you're talking about an ass whooping, getting stabbed or shot, those are sensations of the body. But how you feel about something which makes you cry and which makes you mad can always be changed by the environment that you're conditioned in. Let's talk about the constant infiltration in black people. Man, this information only few will understand. Infiltration in black people. Well, y'all know my ascension. I like to deal with the source. And source knowledge does not coincide with the ego and preferences. So why I say that is, a lot of us want to forget the fact that the very first infiltrations were welcomed by Moors or were welcomed by African men. And I have to specify that, because even though we're in a current society that wants to project the delusion of equality between sexes, even though we come from an ancient society that revered the yoni, the pussy, the woman, and put her at the top of the structure, we knew the ones making the structure, doing the architecture, making the plan, and executing the plan for invasions, for colonizing, for conquering, comes from the masculine left brain. Because we must never forget, we are the first colonizers. Oh yeah, I know we forgot because we've been placing colonization on white people so long. But colonization doesn't mean dehumanization. Colonization doesn't mean I'm gonna put you in slavery. Colonization means I come to your house, I see your house dilapidated, and I do fix this house. Now your house looks the way I want it to look by the standards that I have created or I have lived by. You have just been colonized. Here's the difference. When you were colonized by one group of people, your intellect went up. When you were colonized by one group of people, your civilization went up. When you were colonized by one group of people, your diseases went down. When you were colonized by one group of people, your sciences advanced. But when that other group of people colonized you, you were in chains and crawling around like cattle, deriving the term chattel. So, infiltration. Now, when we speak about COINTELPRO and things of that nature, yes, that's nothing new. They've been infiltrating you since the very beginning of uniting the upper and lower kingdoms of Kemet. We've been pushing back against, this is a question that further expands into the dynamic of how we became enslaved. I hear a lot of regular humans who don't look or who don't use a specific perception, which I like to call the God eye. If we're so strong, if we're so this, how did we get enslaved by these weak people, inferior this, inferior that? Because we were the one who initiated the mixture of blood. We were the ones who invaded. Well, let me be extremely accurate, because being indigenous to the planet, technically you're not necessarily invading anything. But when that area is void of your phenotype or your likeness for a matter of time, and then is re-entered, now you fall into the definition of being an invader. So I just want to clear that up, because as we know, we're indigenous to Europe. Whether you want to go back 40,000 years to the Grimaldi, whether you want to talk about the Venus, whether you want to talk about all these different things that are archaeological fact of European geography and history, we were everywhere on this planet and only ourselves. But everywhere you go as a foreigner, as someone new to the region over a matter of time, you are technically an invader. And what you share and what you show and teach to the population of that geography, you are now colonizing them. Now, colonization is not a good or bad thing. It's very neutral, but it's the intention behind your colonization that makes it something negative or positive. And when you're already a highly advanced people, you're only thinking about design, energy, function, efficiency. See, we're not thinking about what's bad or good or what's good or evil. We're not thinking about hate or love. We're not thinking about pain, inflicting pain or none of that. We're thinking about how can I take this civilization and make it as efficient as mine, or take this civilization that I can clearly observe is more advanced, learn from it and bring it back to my civilization. One or the other. And that's what we did. So the infiltration was started by us. Just like we also have to admit to ourselves, where did these white people learn the science of breeding slaves? Where did these white people learn the science of harboring and cultivating a people like cattle and land? They learned it from the Moors. The Moors did this to the Slavics, which the word slave comes from. So they learned all of these sciences of how to take the mind, of how to cultivate the body, of how to make an advanced worker from African people, from melanated people. And then those same melanated people, in order to save the population of the people they wanted to enslave, they infiltrated that population genetically. Now, this does not mean that black people just ran wild, raping Slavic women and white women of Europe. Hell no. They created harems, and that's where the term harem comes from. A specific place specifically made for that sexual encounter and for mulatto-sizing the population in order to bring them a longer lifespan. All right? So that infiltration you speak of on a much more deeper, because I know where you're coming from. Don't get it twisted, my brother or sister. I know where you're coming from. You're coming from the COINTELPRO aspect. You're coming from everything after that. You're coming from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2021, so on and so forth. This is something that is a parasitic trait, because a parasite is an infiltrator. It latches on to its host. It needs its host. So you will never have a time where white people will never infiltrate you. You will never have a time in existence where white people will leave you alone. They can't do that because by their parasitic trait in nature, they know they will die. Their survival is based off being a parasite to you as a host. So they can't do that. You see what I mean? But the very first invasions, the very first infiltrations were mastered and campaigned by Africans. The Kushites were the first invaders of what you call Kush Valley. Now we call that today India, all right? For some reason, the full name is eluding me, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Originally, it was called Kush Valley, all right? So we're talking about a group of highly advanced culture and people who infiltrated another land and enforced their advancement on that land, advancing those people, but still conditioning them. I'm conditioning y'all when I talk to y'all. You know what I'm conditioning you to do? To be a motherfucking God. I'm conditioning. Mind ascension is conditioning you to think like a God, to move like a God, to utilize intelligence over your feelings. That's a conditioning. You're goddamn right I'm conditioning your ass. You goddamn right I'm washing your brain of its recessive filth, which you call brainwashing. Because I'm telling you, you are the divine. You are the God. You are the Christ consciousness. You are the motherfucking white Jesus. And you the nigga Jesus. Whatever Jesus you like, that's you, nigga. So, we are the first invaders. We are the first colonizers. And once we understand we are the first colonizers, then we understand that these that we call colonizers now learn from you and learn that mastery and that advancement from you. But unfortunately, something that is recessive goes backwards in what it practices. I'm feeling that logic. Man, damn y'all. Ronnie Man has the hair though. I always wondered about that. No, I was going way before King. Indus Kush. Yes, Indus Kush. Indus Kush. I don't know why I forgot about that first word. Indus Kush Valley. But okay, if that was what you were referring to for, that's great, awesome. So I went there, you know. But we can't allow our ego to forget the foundations that we built that this recessives learned from. Because trust and believe, they didn't have the mental capacity in any way, shape, or form to do anything to you besides something that a dog can do to a human that's attacking it. Besides maiming you and, you know, violently damaging your body or whatever you want to call it, there's nothing beyond that mental capacity they ever possessed. So everything you see them doing today, from chemical warfare to forms of genocide, was sciences that we already possess. We just never utilize in that distortion. You already had the periodic tables. So why didn't you make the damn atom bomb? You didn't make the atom bomb because you never had the intentions of destroying the earth. Just because I have fire doesn't mean I need to burn down your house. I know how fire is used. I know fire is an element. So why do I have to burn your house down to utilize fire correctly? You see what I'm saying? So the difference is having the knowledge and information, mastering the elements in the science, but yet having the intentions and having the mentality to utilize it as an advancement instead of utilizing it as a genocidal destruction, which is what the European does and what the recessive does by their nature. They can't help it. They can't help it. That's like trying to teach a leech not to suck your blood. It doesn't make any sense. It's a waste of time. That's the design of the leech. It's gonna suck your blood whether you want it to or not. You could give the leech 1,000,000 classes in how not to suck blood. The leech is gonna suck the blood. So all your Tim Wises, all your little old white women teaching white people to not be racist, not gonna work because their design is parasitic anyway. And that's why if you notice, let's pay attention. Let's use pure observation. It's 2021. What is the ridiculous narrative that you hear a lot of, not just recessives and the pale melanin type, but all of us that are indoctrinated and conditioned by those notions? Oh, racism is taught. Oh, hate is taught. Racism is taught. Okay, let's stay on that for a second. So if racism is taught, right? And we know that in 2021, supposedly and allegedly, that we are supposed to be more advanced in race relations, and we definitely know for a fact, we already have knowledge that so-called racism and discrimination is wrong, correct? So if this notion of racism being taught is a fact, why is it that we have higher experiences today of discrimination and racism in 2021 compared to the 1960s and 70s if it's being taught? There's only two answers to that. Either all these white people are still teaching racism, even though they have all the knowledge, all the information, all the teaching, all the whatever it is, how wrong racist is, or they are naturally parasitic by their own design and genetics, and they cannot help the chemical reactions that come upon their biological body when they witness and they observe a dominant melanated 9-ether being. That's all. So if my grandmother, and I'm a white person, if my grandmother was racist in the 60s and her daughter watched the civil rights movement, watched Martin Luther King, took on Martin Luther King's teachings, taught Martin Luther King to her white children, and so on and so forth, doesn't that mean that in 2021, racism should be almost damn near non-existent? If we're talking about something that's only taught to you, because that's what they say, right? They say it's taught. They don't say it's natural. They don't say it comes from a specific people. They don't say it's a temperament. They don't talk about the glandular structure of the brain. They don't talk about the fact that the Caucasian woman has less melanese in her body, which is a mothering chemical. They don't talk about melanin dominance. They don't talk about the 12 centers of the brain stem. They don't talk about the biological, biochemical reactions and differences between races in their bodies. But they refer to the fact that racism is taught. So if racism is taught, and we've had Martin Luther Kings, and we had Tim Wises, and we've had old white women. I forget the old white bitch name. We had old white women that taught hundreds and thousands of white people all over America for 30 years, because the old white bitch was in her damn 80s. For over 30 years on Oprah and mad shows. Shouldn't, by that same concept in 2021, there should damn near be an end to racism? Because saying racism is taught is saying racism is a knowledge. So if I teach a knowledge that contradicts the knowledge you already know, and you find that knowledge is truth, shouldn't that change your concept? Shouldn't that change your perception and so on and so forth? So why in 2021 is there still contemporary lynching? Why in 2021 is there still the same, if not more, discrimination than ever? Why the fuck are there so many Karens? The mother is the first teacher of the child. Why is there so many Karens? We need to think about this. Your discrimination is so well known. Your discrimination is so well known that they invented a national term to refer to all the white women who naturally bother black people. And they call them Karens. Does that sound like a society that's on the brink of eliminating racism? Does that sound like a society where racism is only taught and the majority of white families are teaching not to be racist? But anyway, that's human shit. Let's move on from that. But we have to think. We have to start utilizing intelligence observation. We have to put together things like a puzzle, but not keep using the pieces given to us by specific European institutions, because that's the problem with the current human today. You pay thousands upon thousands of dollars and you go in debt to go to a white curriculum school because that is the best school according to whose standards? You graduate that white curriculum school, which is the best school according to whose standards, and then you come into the society that they have equipped you and trained you to come in, and then you start saying shit like vaccines work and everything is right, and the medical system is here for your benefit, and the government will never do that, and blah 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 blah. Okay, but see, a person who utilizes intelligence will take the information from that white curriculum or that European institution and consider the information outside of that European institution. And utilizing intelligence will bring all this knowledge together and find the consistency in the information amongst them all. What is consistent within the information amongst all realms of knowledge is what is the closest to the truth, not the one that has colonized all realms of knowledge and is now the hierarchy of the superiority of knowledge. Why in the hell can you call yourself intelligent and only follow one source or one thing of any subject? I don't care what it is. Don't call yourself intelligent if you're doing that. Oh, I went to Harvard and I am a doctor and scientist, and I learned over here in Harvard, and okay, motherfucker. So if you are a scientist, you should be able to tell me of the multiple sciences. If you are a psychiatrist, you should be able to tell me of the multiple psychoanalysis, not just your own that you have paid money to be indoctrinated from. I already know I was going to be in this. Let's also talk about this newfound freedom, financial freedom. Oh, yes. Thank you very much, my brother. JX, I appreciate you chiming in, JX. Thank you so much, brother. That was a good one. Now, see, this is why I love interaction, because I'm not going to lie. That's something that needs to be talked about. My brother, I'm not sure, masculine or feminine, but family just brought up the new age financial freedom thing, which you know damn well my broke ass mind ascension ain't following. Now, here's the thing. We need to stop differentiating the medical institution, the educational institution, the economic institution from each other as if they're not all ran by the same people with the same exact intentions involved as the foundation. This new push for your economic freedom goes into what? Paying less taxes? What exactly does it go into? Does it go into a currency that is not conducted or controlled or followed by the same people telling you to do it? What actual freedom does this current financial state really give you? Nope, damn sure can't print money. Well, technically we can print money, brother. But we just know for damn well that your master will not consider it money. And the slaves of your master will never consider it money. Because printed money is the same piece of paper you're using to wipe your ass with. So you can print money, brother. We can print money if we choose. We just know damn well nobody's gonna give a fuck about it because they've been taught that that's not real money. Paper is paper. Toilet paper, loose leaf paper, construction paper, and money. Paper is paper. So the only person saying you can't print money is yourself. The only person saying you can't do this or that is you following the current environment and condition that's dominated by a recessive mindset that doesn't deem anything a reality until they validate it. If you study under Dr. Sebi and Dr. Laila Afrika and you master everything they've ever taught within their decades on this planet of teaching health and teaching the highness of wellness, and you go to any American institution to be hired as a medical assistant or as any type of medical advisor, what will happen when you walk in there with a certificate from these two master teachers? What will happen? How will they look at you? Will they give a fuck about anything that those brothers did for us? Will they give a fuck about anything that was cured by them? But why not? Why not? See, an intelligent person seeks the results of what you profess. If I myself profess myself to be a teacher, the first thing you should do as an intelligent person is ask me questions. After you ask me questions, the next thing you do as an intelligent person is seek the results of those who are my students, those who follow me, those who subscribe to me, those who've taken my consultations, and so on and so forth. Then you form a conclusion off the combination and consistency of those results. That's an intelligent person. You don't go, well, wait a second, where did you go to school? And I go, well, I didn't go to any white school. I actually learned directly under Dr. Laila Afrika and a couple others. So I don't know who they are, so I'm not listening to you. That's not intelligent. That's an indoctrination person from a European recessive master. Because anything you say that's void of the connection of a European establishment is now void of any type of credit and validation. And this is across everything. Medical field, doesn't matter where it is. It's across everything. So they are your masters. But they're only your masters to the point of your participation and your obedience. It's just like a post I made recently. People always want to be a boss. That's the new thing, that which ties back into that financial freedom nonsense. Because guess what? When you're a fucking boss of all your shit, you're the most enslaved out of everybody. I don't know whether y'all realize that shit. When you're the boss of a whole fucking company, when you're the boss and you are responsible for hundreds to thousands of workers, you're responsible for hundreds and thousands of instruments and machines, you're responsible for the foundation of that business to continue to be lucrative and prosperous, you're a slave to the business. Everything in existence has a hierarchy of levels that coincide to its own involvement. There is a higher and a lower to every motherfucking thing. So the boss has a boss. You know who's my boss when I work for myself? My goddamn customers. That's who my boss is. Those who are buying my product. Those who are taking my services. That's my boss. So now we're in this egotistical field where everybody wants to be a fucking chief. Everybody wants to be a boss. Why are they doing that to you? Why are they doing that to you? Because if everybody's a fucking boss, then that means you ain't got no goddamn business. Because who the hell are your customers and your workers? Stupid. Start using intelligence. And that's the ego. Because guess what? You will always be a boss if you have the freedom to say no. I don't care if you're a janitor. I don't care if you're flipping burgers. If somebody looks at you and says, stick that burger in your ass, and you go, fuck no, nigga, I'm out of here. You're a boss. You're a boss. And you know what you just did? You just fired your boss. Think about it. If somebody tells me, oh, sorry, you can't come in this store unless you wear a mask. And I come in the motherfucker. What's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Peace, baby. How you been? How you been?
So far,
Yo, you still over here, man? Goddamn corn chips. If somebody tells me I can't enter a store unless I wear a mask, and I say, fuck your store and walk out, I'm a boss. It's like the theme in the song of No Church in the Wild. Okay, yes. You are a boss because you have the power to say no. It's y'all motherfuckers making 80, 100,000, 200,000, whatever the hell you want to call it. Oprah money, whatever you want to call it. You can name any figure you want. Them motherfuckers who are being told what they can and can't do and accepting it, even though they really want to do it, that's a slave. That's a slave. That's a slave. I don't care how much money you make. You're a fucking slave. When you abide, obey, and participate in shit that makes no fucking sense, you're a fucking slave. I don't give a fuck if you got 100 Maseratis. You're a fucking slave. You know how powerful it is to look at a group of people following some shit and they tell you to follow the same shit and you say, fuck no? You know how powerful that feels? To be the only one saying no? That means you the only boss. Because even the boss that's there is following the rules of somebody else. He ain't a boss either. Somebody gave him that title that made him feel the egotistical boost to call himself a boss. Being a boss is having the power of choice. And a lot of y'all walking around talking about you got no choice. So you a slave. I got a choice. I'll choose homelessness. I'll choose being broke. I'll choose starvation. And never have to follow any fucking rule until they look at me and say, God, no. Well, shit, let me share. I'm going to share something personal with y'all. When I was locked up many years ago, there was a time where during the summer times, they would turn off the air conditioning of the house I was in. And of course, as we should all well know, that's illegal. You can't do that because you have to have hygienic states within certain institutions, like a hospital, like a jail or prison, whatever. You have to have humane living conditions. During 90 and 100 degree weather, not having an air conditioning environment is not humane conditioning. Long story short, all the inmates, they're going crazy, they're wilding out, they're acting up. I was the only one that said, push back the fucking food. I said, now see, brother, we are synchronized because this is my story right here. I told them niggas, I said, why the fuck are y'all because every time lunch would come, the correction officers would bring the giant thing, and then of course the jailhouse workers would bring the lunch to your house depending on what tier you were on. And I used to tell the house, I said, first of all, y'all niggas is crying over AC. Y'all going crazy that they're not basically giving you the living conditions you're supposed to, but yet you're still accepting the food, you're still eating, and you're still taking what they're giving you, which means that you're compliant to their shit. So I told her, I said, listen, I'm not eating shit. Y'all can eat whatever y'all want, but I'm not eating none of that. I'm not touching none of that. Long story short, the whole house started following that. And every time the food tray would come, we would push that shit back into the hall. You know what the whole jail had to do? They had to stop everything, come to our tier, and ask us what we wanted. And we got our AC back. Why? Because we did not participate. We did not obey. We did not fear not eating a goddamn turkey. What we used to eat in jail? Turkey stew and shit. We didn't get scared of not having fucking surprise Wednesday chicken nugget, whatever the fuck. All that bullshit they feeding us. We pushed that shit away and we said we are not eating. And by law, if their food is not moving, because remember, everything in America is based on a capacity aspect. If you have an order for a prison of, let's say, 20,000 hamburgers, and you realize that half the prisoners are not eating hamburgers, you can't order that same capacity no more. As a matter of fact, if you keep accepting that same capacity, it will cause a financial problem. Peace, my brother. What up, what up? It will cause a financial problem. And just like certain jails, you have to have a capacity limit for that prison to keep going financially. So if you have a prison that holds 5,000 prisoners, but yet there's only 1,000 prisoners in the prison, then the state and so forth will try to find a way to subsidize or to compact that prison to save a financial aspect. So what do they have to do? They have to recreate laws that make everything damn near illegal so they can refill the prison system. So if we, as one entire tier of a house, which fits anywhere from 80 to 100 prisoners, reject the business of the food vending that comes to the prison, they are forced to question us and ask us what we want, so we will continue to participate in the system of jail and feeding us. It's just like when you're in jail, they have to give you free medical treatment because you are a property. You are state property. You are owned. Just like a slave, you had to take care of your slaves. You had to make sure your slaves was healthy. You had to make sure your slaves were strong. The prison system is the same thing. Modern slavery. They have to make sure you're healthy. They have to make sure you're being safe. You don't have disease. They have to give you free medical treatment. There's a lot of people in jail who go to jail just to receive free medical treatment. Believe it or not, I've seen it with my own eyes. I know it's true. There's homeless people in jail that go to jail just to have a bed to sleep in. I know it's true. I've seen it. I done been in jails. I done been in shelters. I've had many cycles of experiences due to my rejection combined with my ignorance of this current society and this third dimensional plane. So I did a lot of things that allowed me to witness firsthand environments that I never really had to be in. All right? Because I'm not a stereotypical story. I just made choices based on me knowing myself and myself as a man in integrity, to where I would reject certain things and then reap the repercussions of them and go through it as a man. Took my sentence, went through it as a man. I rejected living with other people because I never liked being a grown man under a woman or under somebody else. So I chose homelessness. I chose a shelter, and I had my own place in 6 months. This is why y'all need to stop babying y'all motherfucking sons. Kick that nigga's ass out. If he is not following what needs to be followed based on your standards as a mother and as a parent, get that nigga out the house and let him feel the pain of surviving on his own. And let him build the strength within himself that makes him become the man he's supposed to be. That goes against the dumb shit of this society, not who obeys it. Walking around saying all this ridiculous shit that recessives have taught you to say, like a slave. So, to share that with y'all, it's your participation and your obedience that make you a slave, not a boss. A boss has the power to say no. Those of y'all who run your own business, let your customers tell you, fuck your products. We don't like this and we don't like that. What you gonna do? Oh, fuck y'all, I'm the boss. No, if you're a smart boss, you know what you're gonna do if you're a smart boss? You're going to get every one of those customers' reviews, and you are going to try to rectify every problem the customer has to the best of your ability if you are an intelligent boss. If you're a dumb motherfucking boss, which means you're not going to be a boss for too long, you're going to say, fuck you, it's my company, I do what I want, and you'll have no customers. So everyone is a boss to some degree who has the power to say no. And everyone is a slave to some degree by their participation and obedience in the choices of this current society. I'm a slave to the motherfucking pussy to a certain extent. I'm a slave to my woman to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? As fathers and mothers, we're slaves to our children at a certain extent. Recognize that shit. Don't let your ego say, no, that's not this, that's not this. Fuck all of that. Your ego piles on the limitations that create your imprisonment of your mentality. I know what's my ego and I know what's not. When I try to look special for y'all, that's my motherfucking ego. When I'm wearing my motherfucking special ass symbolized shirts and shit, that's my motherfucking ego. Because I want everybody to look at me to see Haru on my chest. So they go, what the fuck is that nigga on? That's my ego. My ego chose that t-shirt. My ego made a sweatshirt with my face on it. That's my ego. I'm not denying it. But I use my ego wisely. I use my ego to provoke the mindset and intelligence of others who are watching me. On boss, even though my customers is my boss. As a barber, I used to say that all the time. All the time. Honestly, I still do cut hair because I still stay loyal to my customers who are my lifelong customers. They follow me everywhere and I love them so much. If any of y'all are listening to my beautiful handful of good brothers who like family to me, when y'all hear me going, fuck that, I ain't at the shop no more, you go, all right, nigga, where I gotta drive to? I love the fuck out of y'all, man. I love the fuck out of y'all. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna get all humanly emotional. But anyway, I say that because I'm not in the shop no more. You know why I'm not in the shop no more? Because I ain't following shit. I'm not obeying shit. How many of y'all quit y'all job because y'all wasn't going to obey stupid shit? Be real with yourself. How many of y'all put a dumbass mask on knowing damn well there's no reason for a fucking mask? How many of y'all bathed in antibacterial gel and shit knowing damn well that shit is actually more detrimental to your body than it is beneficial to your body? You a dumb slave motherfucker if you did all that shit. Sorry. I know it's another reason not to like me. I know it don't feel good. But if you participated in this bullshit, knowing damn well what it really is, you're a fucking slave. You're a slave. I don't care how much money you make. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you got 10 Epstein Islands. You a slave, nigga. You a slave. All right? My freedom will always be above a financial aspect. I could have been at a specific status of richness right now. I chose not to out of my integrity. A man can't lose a barber. Yes, sir. But yeah, I quit that shit. I said, hell no. You know why? Because I know what's coming. Now they're going to be knocking, now they're going to be coming to the barbershop. Have you received your fucking poison in your arm yet? No, motherfucker, and I will not. So guess what I'll do as an intelligent man? I'm going to separate myself from this entire foundation just so nobody even knows I even exist there. So as soon as this dumb shit happened, and as soon as they started talking that shit about barbershops, goodbye, see you later. No more. Nope. Not barber there. Not in any barbershop no more. Bye. I know what's coming. And my intelligence and my integrity trumps anybody's belief. Sorry. But how many of y'all did that? How many of y'all had good jobs, good professions, good hustles, but you compromised with the stupidity so you can keep your job? Listen, I understand. I get it. I get the human part. You got bills, you got kids, you got all this. I get that. But you must admit to yourself that you obeyed and you participated in something that is fucking retarded because you are a slave to where you work or you are a slave to your title. That's what that means. That's all I'm pointing out right now. Feel any way you want about it. I know it doesn't sound nice. They ain't been doing that down here. Oh, with the shot. Well, I know it's different everywhere, but to me, why even have the potential? Like, in my personal opinion, brother, I don't even want a motherfucker coming to my face with that dumb shit. I don't even want a customer coming to my face with that dumb shit. Where's your mask? I don't want to hear that shit one time. I don't want to hear that shit one time. I don't want to hear customers sitting in my chair talking about, have you been vaccinated yet? I don't want to hear that shit one time, bro. One time. So to me, in my personal opinion, how I live, that's worth rejecting the entire field, but still keeping the talent and skill and trade for myself. Because I could cut your ass, I could cut your hair any motherfucking way on the planet. I cut hair in my sleep. I've been cutting hair since I was 8 years old. So that doesn't mean anything to me. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, I know a lot of places, they're not necessarily following it to a T. I know that. But the point of the matter is the potential. Realize everything is about potential. Because I guarantee you, those places you're talking about, if tomorrow they walk in there and say, listen, everybody wrap yourself in plastic, stick a banana up your ass, and drink this antibacterial gel. You think them niggas ain't gonna do that shit? If they tell them to do that, or they gonna shut the shop down, or they gonna fine the shop, you think them niggas ain't gonna do that shit? Them niggas gonna do that shit, all right? If there's any group of people that's obedient as fuck on this planet, it's niggas. Niggas are the most obedient group and race on earth. All over Europe right now, there's huge protests. Huge protests. Seas of white people rejecting, I don't want to say the word because it'll start triggering shit on this recessive controlled platform, but all seas of white people in Europe rejecting the current agenda. Hard. I don't see groups of black people doing shit. Even in America, there's a lot of big groups of Caucasians rejecting a lot of this shit. I don't hear niggas do that. Niggas do it individually. Oh, no, I ain't with that shit. You know, they do it individually. But they never come as a collective against anything. Really. Unless it's your, more discrimination and niggas getting shot by police, which is a regular fucking thing. Can't lie, plenty of people been telling that BS too. I've been looking at them and either ignoring them or asking them if they wear the mask when they sleep. Yeah. Well, here's a more to me, and I have to give the credit to my brother, long time follower and support. I love this brother, man. Now I think outside the box. Real deal 44. Real as it's spelled, Dill, D-I-L-L 44. Good brother, been following me for a long time, always supports me. I love all of y'all that really do listen, support, question, comment. I love y'all endlessly. The rest of y'all, I know what y'all are. But this brother said, if we're dealing with an airborne dangerous situation, I'm refraining from using specific words on purpose. Where the fuck are the dead bodies? Including myself. Because I know I'm not the only one on earth right now who's not following nothing whatsoever. I know I'm not the only one on earth right now who's not getting any of the shit that they're telling you to get, who's not following any of the rules, who are outside all the time, who are around people all the time. Shouldn't there at least, out of the hundreds and thousands of the population who are against all this shit, shouldn't there be at least a dozen dead bodies in houses being discovered or being discovered on the street because we refuse to follow everything that we're told to follow? So that means that this current situation has a particular intelligence to it. Because, it takes a break when you got to take a sip of water or when you got to smoke a cigarette or when you got to eat a sandwich. It goes on break at those specific times, you see. So the real question is, something that is airborne has to have a body count. If the body count is only exclusive to the hospitals, then what the hell is going on outside of the hospital? And what is going on with the people who are not following what they're being told to do? Where are their bodies? Once again, this is myself. I haven't touched none of that dumbass shit since this shit started, and I never will. Never will. But yeah. So yes, brother, there are many good questions we can ask ourselves. Many intelligent questions we can ask ourselves that many people can't even answer or they'll just reject, which is the slave mind. Remember, that's the slave mind. Remember how hard it was to convince the house nigga that he needs to run away. That was the most difficult task. Remember the quote from Harriet Tubman, I would have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they was enslaved. Yeah. So, but on that note, family, I'm wrapping this up. I love y'all. Mind Ascension, I'm out. Peace to my family, 6 to 22 Strand, 7 to 9 Ether, U Melanin, Selenium Base. Please subscribe, comment. Don't be afraid to drop what you think, to drop what you saying, what you feeling, whatever. I know y'all be reluctant to do that for whatever the reason is. We ain't even gonna call it ego. We'll call it however you feel. But subscribe, comment, share. All consultations, all divinations, 646-575-8305. All consultations, all divinations, 646-575-8305. Mind Ascension, I love y'all. I'm out.